Alcatraz Island, a small, rocky island in the San Francisco Bay, known as the Rock, a place of fear and isolation. This is the story of Alcatraz. The island's story is long and fascinating. Native Americans once lived there. The Spanish and Mexicans claimed the island. In 1850, it became part of the United States. The U.S. Army saw its potential. Alcatraz became a military fort, protecting San Francisco Bay from enemy ships. Its isolation made it a perfect prison. In 1934, Alcatraz transformed from military prison to a maximum security penitentiary for the most dangerous criminals, the prison of no return. Alcatraz's military history is important. It shaped the island's future. The Army built the first prison on Alcatraz. During the Civil War, it held Confederate sympathizers. The prison expanded in the late 1800s. New buildings were built, and the prison population grew. It housed military prisoners until 1933. The Army's legacy remained. Its structures formed the foundation of the Federal Penitentiary. The cells, the guard towers, the isolation, all remnants of its military past. The 1930s saw a rise in organized crime. Gangsters like Al Capone and George Machine Gun Kelly. The federal government needed a solution, a place to hold these dangerous men. Alcatraz was the answer. Isolated and inescapable, a prison designed to break the toughest criminals. It became a symbol of American justice. The prison underwent renovations. New security measures were added, bars, towers, and guard patrols. No expense was spared. Alcatraz was ready for its new inmates. Alcatraz was designed to be inescapable. Surrounded by cold, rough waters, strong currents made escape by swimming nearly impossible. The prison itself was a fortress. High walls, fences topped with barbed wire, armed guards in strategic positions. Every corner was monitored. The cells were small and basic. A bed, a toilet, a sink. Some prisoners had a small desk and chair. It was a harsh existence designed to break the spirit. Section 5. A Day in the Life. The Alcatraz Routine. Alcatraz, often referred to as the Rock, was not just a prison, it was a fortress of discipline. Life here was a stark contrast to the outside world where freedom reigned. On this island, every moment was meticulously planned, leaving no room for spontaneity. Life in Alcatraz was, well, highly regimented. The prison was designed to break the spirit of even the most hardened criminals. The routine was not just about order, it was a psychological tool to enforce control and compliance. Every single minute of the day was accounted for. From the moment the inmates woke up to the time they went to bed, their lives were dictated by the clock. The rigid schedule was a constant reminder of their loss of freedom. Prisoners followed a strict schedule from the wake-up call all the way to lights out. The day began with the sound of a loud bell echoing through the cold concrete walls of the prison. The day began at 6:30 in the morning. Inmates were expected to be up, dressed, and ready for roll call. This was not just a head count, it was a moment to ensure that every prisoner was accounted for and compliant. First, there was roll call, then breakfast. Meals were simple but nutritious, designed to sustain the inmates for the physically demanding day ahead. The mess hall was one of the few places where prisoners could briefly interact, though always under the watchful eyes of the guards. And after that, it was straight to work. Work was not optional, it was a mandatory part of the daily routine. It kept the prisoners occupied and instilled a sense of discipline. Prisoners worked in the prison industries, making clothing, furniture, or even doing laundry. These tasks were repetitive and monotonous, but they served a purpose. They kept the prison running and gave the inmates a sense of contribution, however small. Meals were served in the mess hall. Lunch and dinner followed the same pattern as breakfast, structured, efficient, and closely monitored. The food, while plain, was adequate enough to keep the prisoners going. Free time was limited, but it was a precious commodity. Prisoners could use it to exercise in the yard, a rare opportunity to feel the sun on their faces and stretch their legs. The yard was a place of both relief and tension. While some inmates played baseball or walked in circles, others used the time to strategize or simply reflect on their lives, or they could spend some quiet moments reading in the library. The library was a sanctuary for many, offering a brief escape into the world of books. For some, it was a chance to learn and grow, even within the confines of the prison walls. Alcatraz was a place of routine, but within that routine there were glimpses of humanity and resilience. Section 6. Notorious Inmates' Faces of Alcatraz. You know, Alcatraz housed some of America's most infamous criminals. Al Capone, the notorious gangster, George Machine Gun Kelly, known for his violent crimes, and of course Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. He, interestingly enough, became an expert in ornithology while in prison. But it wasn't just the famous names. Alcatraz was also home to less famous but equally dangerous criminals. Bank robbers, murderers, kidnappers, every one of them considered a serious threat to society. Section 7. Escape from Alcatraz: Myths and Reality. Alcatraz, the infamous island prison, has long been a symbol of isolation and inescapability. Perched on a rocky island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, it was designed to hold the most dangerous criminals of its time. But was it truly escape-proof? That's the question that has fascinated people for decades. Now, Alcatraz was long believed to be escape-proof. Its high security measures, combined with the treacherous waters surrounding it, made it seem like a fortress no one could leave. Yet, the human spirit is resilient, and some inmates dared to dream of freedom. Over the years, there were several escape attempts. Some were poorly planned and ended in failure almost immediately. Others were more daring, involving elaborate schemes and months of preparation. The most famous one? That would be the 1962 escape. It captured the imagination of the public and remains one of the most talked about prison breaks in history. 3 men, Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin, disappeared. These were not ordinary inmates. They were clever, resourceful, and determined. They used, of all things, spoons to dig through the prison walls. It was a slow and painstaking process, but their ingenuity paid off. They created a tunnel system that led them to a utility corridor, and they left behind these dummy heads made of papier-mâché to trick the guards. The heads were so lifelike that the guards didn't realize the men were gone until morning. Their fate? Well, it remains a mystery to this day. Did they drown in the icy waters of the bay, or did they manage to reach the mainland and start new lives? The truth has never been confirmed. Officially, no one ever successfully escaped from Alcatraz. The prison's records maintain that every escape attempt ended in failure, with inmates either captured or presumed dead. The cold waters and those strong currents proved to be just too much for most. The bay's frigid temperatures and relentless tides were as much a barrier as the prison walls themselves. But, over time, the legend of Alcatraz only grew. Today, it stands as a historical landmark, drawing visitors from around the world who are captivated by its stories of confinement, resilience, and the enduring mystery of those who dared to escape. Section 8. Closure and Rebirth from Prison to Park. Alcatraz Island, once a symbol of isolation and punishment, has undergone a remarkable transformation. Its story is one of decay, closure, and ultimately, rebirth. By the 1960s, Alcatraz had become, well, just too expensive to run. The cost of maintaining the prison, located on a remote island, was astronomical. Supplies had to be ferried in, and the harsh salt air caused rapid deterioration of the buildings. The buildings were falling apart, really. Cracks in the walls, rusted metal, and crumbling concrete made it clear that the prison was no longer sustainable. It was a relic of a bygone era, and its time was running out. So, in 1963, the prison closed. The gates were locked, and the last inmates were transferred to other facilities. Alcatraz, once a fortress of confinement, was left abandoned, its future uncertain. Its era had come to an end. For nearly a decade, the island sat in silence, its empty halls echoing with the memories of its infamous past. It became a ghostly reminder of a darker time in American history. But in 1972, Alcatraz reopened, this time as a national park. The island was given a new purpose, one that celebrated its history while offering a space for reflection and education. It was no longer a place of punishment, but a place of learning. Visitors could now step into the infamous prison, experience its history, and learn about its inmates. The cells, once home to some of the most notorious criminals, became exhibits, telling stories of resilience, escape attempts, and the harsh realities of life on Alcatraz. Over the years, the island has become a hugely popular tourist destination, drawing in millions of visitors each year. People from all over the world come to see the iconic prison, to walk its halls, and to imagine what life was like for those who lived there. Alcatraz is no longer a place of fear, but instead it stands as a reminder of a dark chapter in American history. It serves as a bridge between the past and the present, a place where stories of hardship and resilience are preserved for future generations. Section 9. Alcatraz Today. A haunting reminder. Today, Alcatraz stands as a haunting reminder of a time when criminals were isolated. It's a symbol of justice, punishment, and in some ways the resilience of the human spirit. Visitors can walk through the cell blocks, explore the corridors once patrolled by guards, and even imagine the lives of those who were imprisoned there. Alcatraz is truly a place of contradictions. It's a place of darkness and beauty, of confinement and freedom. Above all, it's a reminder of the power and resilience of the human spirit.